Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday for those who are tuning in over on the New York side of things. Good afternoon. We are so excited to have Scott Whightsil on our Do Good Business mini-series. We're going to talk about productivity, what it's like working from home in the industry, and working from home. What does that look like for us right now? I mean, I'm currently home, as you can tell, in my home office. For those who are just tuning in for the first time, my name is Morgan Heinrich, and I'm the Director of Marketing at Legacy Purchasing Group. It's a great group. Check out our social media, check out our website. But we're going to go dive right into it and meet Scott. Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you very much for your time and everyone's time.
Of course. So Scott is the Regional Director of Vari, which was formerly VARIDESK. So when you think of those standing, sitting desks, which I mean, we all think of when we're working from home, a healthy workplace. Yes, as you can see behind him, that is exactly where he is. And so you'll see when people walk by, he is currently in the headquarters of Vari, which is located where, Scott?
In Coppell, Texas.
Yeah, and it is, if you ever have a chance to check it out, schedule a tour with Scott. I'm going to put that information on the end of the whole interview. But it is a wonderful place. And I told Scott the first time I walked through, I was like, I want to work here. It is the future of the workspace, and especially with the flexibility and what we're going through right now. It is a great place to work and a great company to work with. So Scott, we're going to go right into it. And first I want to say, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and they'll be answered at the end. Okay, so Scott, tell me about yourself.
Yep, absolutely. Been in the furniture industry 35 plus years. So I've experienced all the trends when it comes to the cube farms, the rat maze, the open collaborative environment. And even with technology, right? We had the 3-foot corner work surface with a big monitor on that corner in the days of old in the 80s. And now with technology today, what a change. So you mentioned it, Morgan, it's part of our messaging with being flexible, speed to market, and then just from a simplicity standpoint.
Yeah, and I just have to say, when you guys go visit Vari, it is such a cool place. And so whenever they change it up, I mean, how often do you guys change up how it's set up?
Oh, at HQ, we're roughly 75,000 square feet. And since I've been here a year and a half, we've reconfigured the total space in 3 times.
Wow.
So it's, again, very simple. We don't have to have permits. We don't have to have electricians. We don't have data people. All that's done internally, which gives us a lot of flexibility to accommodate what's going on today.
Yeah, and I just thought that was so cool, the flexibility of it and really just moving around. And you see the lighting behind him. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So I just have to ask, with everything going on, I want to know the history about working from home. When you brought it up the first time, I didn't even know there was a history to it.
Right. Well, I don't even know the 90s. So from a historical standpoint, work from home was really looked at in the early 90s. It was a government project, actually, and came into play to reduce space, reduce some of their cost, and track productivity. And what they did find, the government did find, was that productivity either stayed the same or actually did increase.
Wow.
However, in the early 90s, part of the problem was technology, as I mentioned before, right? Laptops really weren't available. Laptops were created in the early 80s. They were drug around with a small 2-wheel cart until really the 90s when they became small. And then, with the iPhone, we all know, started in 2007. So technology, how to measure that productivity. You look at security and technology back then as being an issue. And even today, to some extent, with this work from home, it's trust. How do I know people aren't at home during the afternoon watching Ellen, Dr. Phil, cartoons, whatever it may be, when they should be working? So all of that's changing. COVID obviously escalated the speed to make it more measurable and trackable. So that's a little bit on the history of it.
Yeah, and I just think that's fascinating. A study from the government back in the 90s. Who knew that it would be applied now, and mass application of it? And we had just been talking about, when we first talked, was how many companies are now adapting to that full-time, or they're converting their spaces to more of a workspace. And so you guys are a great option for that.
Yep, no, exactly. And it's interesting. And you see it, read it in the papers today. You look at a Microsoft, a Facebook, a Twitter, that are considering, and some have gone 100% work from home. Interesting study, all sorts of white papers on, yes, it will work. also white papers on why it won't work. We feel like it's probably somewhere in the middle, and we can talk a little bit about that later, Morgan, and kind of what the trends are, what the future may hold.
Okay, well, and so let's just dive right into it. So what are the trends right now for working from home?
Yeah, with trends, and again, the days of old, the work from home was almost seen as a perk. Not many people were able to do that because, again, the old days, managers felt like they had to manage by sight, and that if I didn't see you in a seat, you weren't working. So the companies, the organizations had to evolve in being able to trust their employees and be able to measure that productivity. And again, it's from the measurement standpoint. Today, we give those employees a task, and we don't have to see how they get to that task. It's more, I need this task. I need it done on October 30th. And then when it's deliverable on the 30th, then things are good. We don't have to see how they get there. So it's gone from really a perk to more of a business strategy. Obviously, with COVID, that created a whole different dilemma. But again, more and more people are doing the work from home. Interesting task too is we're seeing an increase in subleases. A lot of these larger companies, they have so much space when they're going to work from home, they provide empty space, and that's not a good revenue generator for them. So these large companies are looking to sublease. I read just yesterday that there's 9 million square feet of sublease space just in North Texas. So a huge application when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And then really sorry, Morgan, the final trend is more of this, again, in this middle that I spoke about, from really a hub and spoke, where you're going to have a corporate facility. You're going to have facilities, within areas that people can come to. But this spoke idea could be everything from a home office, from the proverbial Starbucks. And again, we're seeing and have seen in the last couple of years a huge increase in co-working, where there's actually facilities away from the corporate office that allow people to come into an office environment. Because again, part of the disadvantage with working from home is the collaboration, the face-to-face. A lot of people need the face-to-face. That's a key part in keeping from burning out. So this hub and spoke continues to become more of a topic as we move forward.
Yeah. Well, personally, I love working from home. I was talking to you about, I love meeting with people face-to-face for those meetings, but I feel like I am so productive from home. But I was actually walking with a friend this morning, and she works for a large digital marketing company in North Texas, and she loves working in the office. She said, we are so collaborative sitting together. She said, but now we're sitting 8 feet apart. We're not supposed to talk to each other. So she's like, I cannot get back to sitting in my what did you call it, a pod, where they're right next to each other. And she's like, I love that community and that environment. So people are craving that and going back. So it is exciting. And I know I'm wondering what the future is, and we're going to talk about that. That's our last question. So stay tuned for that, guys. Okay. So our title was 5 ways to improve productivity while working from home. Can we go into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love to do that. Jason McCann, our CEO and co-founder, helped create these 5 points. And he lives them, right? He's involved in the company. I'll tell you, Vari is a 8-year-old company in an 80-plus-year-old industry. And it's all about being the disruptor. We've got a completely different model. Jason's engaged in our day-to-day. He's just around the corner. He was taking customer service calls yesterday just to learn more about what he can do to improve the organization. So great senior management within Vari. But to get to your point is, the first one is to really communicate openly and frequently, with everybody having to go, especially from really a mid-March standpoint through May, July, where some of the people are coming back to the office. There was a huge need to be able to communicate openly and frequently. So what Jason would do as the CEO, we would have weekly calls, Zoom calls. We're a 350 plus employee company. He would get all those people on a weekly call. He would talk about business, how much of our business potentially decreased during these economic times, how we're going to change that. We've got a motto of keep rowing. We want to catch that wind in our sails and continue the momentum. So Jason communicated frequently. The other big one's technology. When you're working from home, you got to make sure your employees have the technology. The other key part, especially with old people like me, you've got to know how to use that technology. So you've got to be able to train them on a simple call, on a Zoom call or a Teams call, whatever mechanism device you have to communicate. They've got to have the technology. We've also found that some employees don't even have Wi-Fi. So the organization creates stipends to help with their Wi-Fi at home.
Wow.
And then the third one, and somewhat closer to Vari's heart, is you got to provide a space at home. You got to designate that space. It's funny, we've seen pictures from people using ironing boards, putting their computer on an ironing board and standing, because it's about being active. That's where you get your productivity. So you've got to provide the environment, whether it's the dinner table. Fortunately, you may have a desk that you can use, and you've got to create that boundary that there is, which leads into the fourth one of creating that work-life balance. I've had a lot of friends that say when they work from home, they work a lot more than what they did.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't travel, right? We would get up, we'd leave at 7 o'clock in the morning, 45-minute to an hour drive. Guess what? You get up 7 o'clock, you're on your laptop, you're getting things done. So you see more productivity, but you have to be careful of burnout. You don't want to work all the time. A key initiative, you got to make time for lunch. You've got to make time for breaks. Studies have shown that if you take these 15-minute breaks during the morning, during the afternoon, it really works out well from a productivity and really a balance. Whole different subject matter on work-life balance. Is there such a thing? We could talk another 15 minutes for that, but we won't. And then the last one, the fifth one is, it establish and actually reinforce that company culture, right? During these times. One of our 6 values is embrace change. So guess what we've had to do since March? We've had to embrace change, right? It speaks to Jason creating these core values of embracing change, of believing it's possible. Again, we look at challenges as opportunities, another one of our core values. So you've really got to continue that message of your core values with these people that work from home, because they can't be forgotten. The businesses continue to go on and grow. So it's important for the top down, for the C-suites to really pass that message along.
And that is so neat. And I think that's so important right now, is the connection with other people. And
absolutely
reminding where you're working. And we had talked about that when we talked about 401k. It's all about the communication and educating and making sure that they're well valued and they know that.
Correct.
Just to keep everybody engaged, and the trust factor that you were talking about, with you got to trust that they're going to get it done, and they're going to get it done with high quality intention too.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It has to do with the age groups. Me being a baby boomer, good or bad for the millennials or Gen X. Here comes Gen Z. That's a big focus on what do they want to have in their commercial office space. They didn't grow up with a landline. They don't know how you could dial with the rotary dial. So again, it's creating that environment, which is like ours, to be open, collaborative, flexible. That's really going to attract the Gen Zs to come to somebody's work environment.
Yeah, and I think that's so neat, because I'm a millennial, and I feel like that it's kind of adapting with the technology part of it. And with Vari, when I walked through, it was just so cool how everyone's so collaborative. And you could see them moving around the walls. And so what are those things behind you, really quick?
These are, real quick, the lights are called halo lights. They actually plug into the ceiling. We've got an electrical grid on a 10 foot by 10 foot grid that these lights plug into. So again, very flexible. We get somebody on a scissor lift within Vari, and we can move these around very easily. I don't have to wait for an electrician. I don't have to wait for permits. An architect or designer doesn't have to be involved. So those are our halo lights in stock.
Well,
available for next week.
They're so cool. And I just thought, I was like, especially with a big space like yours, not that it's a big warehouse, but it's just a big empty building that you guys convert and move around, and it's still aesthetically pleasing. And when I walk in, again, so I'm going to put that up really quick. Go tour the space. Everyone watching this, go tour it. I walked in, you guys have a coffee bar when you first walk in. Well, when you first walk in, it is like greeted, and you can scan the badge on your phone, which I thought that was so cool. And then you walk through the doors, and they have a coffee bar. You have different waters that you can have. I was handed a bottle, I walked the door and I had my badge, it was just such a cool experience. And I've been there now twice. And I mean, completely different layout, but still, like, of the future, people of all ages just working together. And I also wanted to go through, so your 5 tips for increasing productivity were communication.
Yep. Communicate. Technology.
Technology. What was the third one?
Provide an office environment within
Provide
your home, furniture, supplies, stipends, technology, etc.
Yeah. And then what was
And
the
then
fourth?
the fourth one was the infamous work-life balance.
Ah.
And then the fifth one was to establish and reinforce your company culture, your values. Most of them have their values on the wall, may not follow them, but we make it a point to follow our values. And if I could say real quick, Morgan, so yeah, more than happy to have people tour here at HQ. We've got other offices throughout the country. So if you wanted to go to Denver, Baltimore, DC, we continue to expand across the country. So if you have a specific area, let me know. Phoenix, for example, as well.
How neat, and such a fantastic company. Okay, so I'm going to take this off the screen really quick. Our very last question, and then we're going to go to questions because I do have a few that came in. So what does the future look like for businesses with remote employees?
Yeah, it's going to continue to evolve. I wish I had the answer, but I don't have the complete answer on what that looks like. But again, I think we'll see a blend. We're going to see the hub and spoke, where people will still need to go into their corporate environment or the satellite office a couple, 3 days a week.
Okay.
You know, we're seeing assigned desk, we're seeing unassigned desk in some of these corporate environments.
Yeah.
But bottom line, it's going to continue to evolve.
Yeah. I'm excited for what the future brings, and it's exciting to see just the working from home, the flexibility. What I have seen is just during this time, so many people they have more time when they're working from home. They spend more time with their families. They're going to the little league games. They're able to spend that time with their family, and just really like getting into working out that they didn't have the time for before because they had an hour and a half commute.
Sure.
So it is so exciting. Okay, so I have a question from Sarah. So first, before I read her question, Vari is giving away their free ebook, and this is the link to go to, and you can have access to it. So it has the 5 tips that we just talked about. It has a whole bunch of great information and 6, which I thought were so cool. So Sarah said, I downloaded your free ebook from Legacy's website. Just wanted to let you know that the statistics are fascinating and love the idea of giving our employees a survey to get their feedback. Well, that is cool.
Correct.
Yep. I own a company of about 50 employees, and it's about keeping them happy and making sure that they stay focused and productive. Our staff will be working differently. So this is very important. Thank you for the information. Okay, Sarah, not quite a question, but great feedback.
Yep. You're welcome, Sarah. And any other questions you may have, please let Morgan and I know.
Yeah, okay, and then I have a question from Marianne. Okay, so we all know the stand-up desks are healthy, but what are other options to stay healthy while working from home? What do I look for in a chair?
Yep. You know the lingo is ergonomic. You want a chair that's going to be able to be adjustable. It's everything from where the seat pan raises and lowers to is able to extend. We spent a lot of money in research and found out that most people are different sizes and shapes. So you have to have a chair that's adaptable. There's ergonomic chairs that we offer that have the arm caps go up and down. There's the lumbar support that comes into play. And that's a great question. There's not a magic time frame that you should stand, but it's just important, again, with 15-minute breaks, that you take time to stand when you're working at your desk, whether it's on a converter, as we have on our showroom floor, or it could be what we call an electric standing desk, that the whole table unit will rise.
And that is so cool. And it looks so, yeah, you're standing right now, which is so great. I'm like, I need to stand up more during the day and take those, you said 2-minute, 15-minute breaks during the day?
Yeah, but yep, usually 1 in the morning. You know, again, the old days of old people like me was that infamous smoke break that people don't do anymore. So yeah, it's 15 minutes in the morning, 15 in the afternoon. Yeah. Make time for lunch, because some of us can be workaholics and you want to work from 7 to 6 o'clock just because you can at home, like you, Morgan. So you need to take breaks, or you'll burn out, and that's a big topic these days.
Yeah, and I love that question from Marianne too, because so we hate this, but people that are just sitting at their kitchen table all day and they do not get up for the break, they do not get up for lunch. Right. And I mean, I am sometimes guilty of it. I mean, granted, I do have a cowhide chair, but I usually do sit on the couch cross-legged, and lunch comes and goes, and I am just trained in. And I feel it though. I used to walk around and be more active, so now I have to be intentional about setting an alarm. Get up.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's a big part of it too with technology with the watch. You know, it can tell if you're sitting too long. It tells you to get up and move. So there you go.
And yeah, and so actually on one of our next talks, we're going to be doing a yoga series about, and it's just
not by me.
Yeah. No, you're gonna do it on video.
Oh no, goat yoga.
We're gonna do that about what you can do while you're working from home or at your desk. So that's so that about wraps it up. Emily, hi Emily, thank you for tuning in. So thank you so much, Scott, for today. If anybody has any questions or anything, here is Scott's contact info. I'm gonna pop it up on the screen really quick. So this is to schedule a tour if you want to buy a chair from Vari or standing sitting desks. There are so many cool things that you guys have there. So this is his information. Okay.
And if you come the month of October, wear pink. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so wear pink in October.
And I'll also have to say really quick is when you tour their space, I met the CEO, the founder, and just the space there is so cool. I cannot get over it. Yes, so make sure to wear pink. We're also doing breast cancer awareness thing. We'll post it all over social media. Sorry, one more question from Robert. Do you have parents coming to Vari for suggestions on how to help kids doing school at home? So do you guys do anything like that?
We do provide. We're looking more and more into the educational market, the K through 12. We actually are looking at providing height adjustable desk.
Wow.
Same thing, just like ours. It's more of the manual, but again, you know, the children need to get up. They don't need to be sitting through the whole time frame, whether it's at home or in class. So we do have some educational products like the height adjustable desk that's currently available.
That is so cool. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall, for those of you who don't know. So I would have loved that back in the day where I was crammed into a little kid desk where I was an 8th grader. That was huge. That would have been great. So again, thank you so much, Scott. I got all of our questions. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to contact us. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Bye.